Good morning, true crime friends. Oh my goodness. Listen, the Lori Vallow Daybell case just went to a whole new level of crazy. The state has rested, and so has Lori. Oh, the way I was shook when I saw it. Okay, look. We're going to get into it. But first, you know what you need to do. Please like this video and subscribe to the channel. Also, find me on all the social medias, Facebook, Instagram, and Blue Sky. Also, if you feel so inclined, play Lori Vallow Daybell Bingo. We got bingo over here. Check the description box of this video for the Lori Vallow Daybell playlist and the Lori Vallow Daybell bingo cards. If you win a bingo, I'll send you a prize. Okay, so look. I'm going to start backwards. I am not going to bury the lead. And that is that the state has rested their case and Lori Vallow has also rested her case, sort of, right? Let me tell you what happened. So I'm minding my own business, right? And I'm just listening to the case, tootling around the house. And then the judge was like, okay, so the state has rested. They had their last very explosive witness, which I will go over in detail in just a minute. And the judge was like, Lori, hey girl, hey, again, not quoting. This is the spirit of what he said. He was like, hey girl, hey, you gonna present some evidence or something? And she was like, Your Honor, can I speak with my attorney? So she whispers with them for a minute and she comes back and she was just like, Your Honor, cause see, she's back to like the whispery, breathy voice because she's like, right, I've selected a jury of mostly men, and I'm hoping that they will be beguiled by my like whispering. Maybe they'll imagine that I'm whispering like murderous nothings in their ears. Anyway, so she's like, I want to have a Rule 20 motion, and then she read the whole thing that was basically said like, there's no proof, so can you set me free right now, and then we could just be done with this, done and done. And then the judge could not have been more bored. He was like, state, and the state said some legal stuff that amounted to girl. And so the judge was like, yeah, denied. Okay, what else do you want to do? And so I was just like, okay, well, that was easy. And the state was like, okay, if we're gonna talk closing statements, I think it's gonna take me like an hour for closing. And Lori's like, it'll take me less than that. And I was like, okay, so wait. If the state is done and Lori is going to rest, she has to officially rest in front of the jury, which she has not done yet. And while they were having this conversation, the jury was out of the room. So, but the judge had told them like, me and the grown-ups have to have some conversation. So y'all go over there in the back room and play or something. And I'll call you back in a minute. So all the little jurors went over in their little back room. And so the judge was like, so what is the timing of all of this? Are you sure you don't want to testify? And Lori was like, I don't think I want to testify, but I might testify, but I might change my mind. So my answer is no-ish. And the judge was like, this heifer. You know, in his mind, he was like, if I could just go down there and bonk her on the head with my gavel, the bonkation would be so real in this courtroom right now. And he was like, okay, oh, Lord, I have an Excedrin headache. So listen, girl, this is what you're going to need to do. Again, not quoting. You have to let me know if you decide to testify because that changed the jury instructions. In the meantime, on Thursday, which is today, they're going to go over the jury instructions. So the jury gets to go home for the long Easter weekend. Lori as lawyer and her consultants or whatever, and the state will review all the things that the jury instructions, what they're going to tell the jury. They're going to explain what Lori is charged with and all the things. And then on Monday, closing arguments. Y'all, I'm so ready. Although I was not entirely ready because I really wanted Lori to take the stand. Oh, I hope she takes the stand. I would love to see her get cross-examined. Oh, the way I want that. So that's where they left it. But first, let's back up to the first part of the day, right? So Detective Nathan Duncan gets on the stand. Nathan Duncan is the one who was sick yesterday, child. If he had been well yesterday, they might have wrapped up yesterday, but he was a little bit under the weather. And the judge was like, oh, hey, please don't breathe on me because I don't want none of what you got over there. Please keep it over there. And Detective Nathan was like, I'm doing my best, but I'm going to sit here real still and real stoic, and I'm just going to answer all the questions. And I was like, okay, good. So the state started asking him questions like, hey, what's your name? Where do you work? What's your zodiac sign? Whatever. And then was like, okay, so what did you do in this whole debacle? And he was like, okay, So I was not the original detective. I'm like the substitute detective because the original detective got promoted or something like that. But he was like, but I was there at the scene and I got warrants and I looked around and there was not a lot of blood and I found the divot in the floor. And I said, oh, there's a divot in the floor. And then I had to go get a saw. And so they sawed up the plank. Y'all have just messed up her whole security deposit, but I guess there are bigger fish to fry. So he took a saw, like a sawzall, a jigsaw. What kind of saw did you use? What was the floor made of? I have so many questions. They damaged a hardwood floor. The way I would be mad if somebody messed up my hardwood floors. Anyway, so they took a chunk of the floor out and they took it back to the police station to do I don't know what with, because they didn't bring it in evidence. I kind of want to see the piece of the floor, but okay, whatever. So he's just like, I got the saw and I got the warrant. And then I had to get the phones and I was like, oh, this is going to be so boring. Phone evidence. Turns out I was wrong. Thank goodness. He was just like, so I had to get Lori's iCloud and I got a warrant for the iCloud and I started going through all her messages. The thing is, she had like 2 or 3 different iClouds, so he could like read one and then close it, make his notes and close it out, then read the other one and close that out. And he had to go back and forth because Lori was texting from like 25 different phones. So it took a while for them to put all the information together and figure out what the story was. And I was like, okay. So apparently, Lori had like an email account where she named herself Karen Walker. Like from Will and Grace. The way I loved Karen Walker on Will and Grace. Anyway, and so he was like, so based on all the text messages from all the different things, this is what I put together. And I was like, oh, we get to know her personal business when she was emailing and texting. Please tell me every single thing because you know I'm nosy. Please hold. I have already talked my throat dry. Hang on. So there's a lot of text back and forth between Lori and her brother Alex, you know, the unaliver. But the last text before the unfortunate unaliving of Lori's husband, she was like, I will be like Nephi and so will you. Okay, now when I first heard this, I was like a knee-high soda? Y'all gonna be like soda? Oh, okay, I don't. And then we also discovered that once Charles, Lori's husband, was off at the Endless Heaven buffet. They just sent him on to his greater reward. In my case, that would be key lime pie. I don't know what that would be for him. Maybe creatine and unlimited weightlifting. Unclear. Anyway, after he had passed to the Endless Heaven buffet, Lori started calling her boyfriend Chad Bubby. Bubby? I can't. Oh, okay, it's not my business. And so she got Bubby to get out here in these true crime streets and start pricing cremations. The unmitigated gall, y'all. Now listen, this was not part of the trial. This is just what I happen to know from outside information. Chad was on the phone like, hey, funeral home, listen, what is the cheapest possible way that I can cremate my lover's husband, who's now, let me not give y'all all my personal information. An uncle of mine, how much can I burn him up and mail him away for? And they basically were like, it's going to be like $2,000. And I was like, okay, that doesn't seem like such a high price. Okay, anyway, we're not talking about me. I love to price shop. Anyway, so the day that Charles passed away, Lori was like, boop, 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 calling up funeral homes. The same day. I appreciate the efficiency of that, but ma'am, you seem awfully anxious, and that is just a little bit incriminating to me. The day he passed, she was calling funeral homes. The next day, she had her behind down at the Social Security office. Ma'am was not trying to miss one nickel, one dime. I was like, oh, okay, we see you, you scandalous scallywag. Anyway, and then she was texting Alex back and forth. I'm not sure if this was right before the unfortunate unaliving or right after, but I guess it was after because she was like, she didn't sigh in her text, but in my mind, she sighed real heavy. And she was just like, Al, Adam is freaking out just because we unfortunately unalived his very good friend. It's so ridiculous. Obviously, our brother Adam is a Z. Ma'am, I don't know if you know, zombies are not real. Now, I understand that your boyfriend over there in northern Idaho, who looks like a thumb, who you are calling Bubby, has determined that certain people are Z's or zombies, meaning their spirit has passed on to its great reward, but their body is still here. Here on Earth, if your body is still here, that means you're still alive. But they was living in an alternate universe where they were like, certain people die, but their body stays alive, and that body is a zombie. Y'all have watched too many movies. I swear for cheese, it's ridiculous. But she was like, our brother Adam is freaking out just because we unfortunately unalived his friend. So obviously he's a zombie. Your brother? Okay. I don't know why I was surprised. I just had not realized that they had declared that Adam was a zombie. And then she was just like, yeah, it's terrible. I'm super duper sad. She didn't say that they obviously had to unfortunately unalive him, but everybody that's determined to be a Z gets unfortunately unalived. And then a couple days later, she was like, more bad news. Guess who else? Y'all are playing guessing games over a life and death situation. Okay. And so, big dumb Alex was like, who else? Is it Pops? Is it Brandon? Pops, you mean their father? Y'all. When this family read these text messages, you know, they were like, wait. Now, I was fine with her unfortunately unaliving her husband, but why my name on the list? But family, if she out here just pew-pewing up people, what makes you think that y'all couldn't get it too? Yo! Anyway, so Alex, the brother, was like, is it dad or is it our niece's husband? Which one? And she was like, no, it's worse than that. It's our nephew, Zach. Zach was a child. Okay. I'm trying to keep my wits about me. We discover in their text messages, she's like, he's one of the 24. Y'all was planning on unfortunately unalive 24 people. This case is so next level. It's so next level. So I was like, okay, there are 24 declared Z's that they have identified. I'm sure Alex was like, obviously I'm gonna have to buy some more bullets and create some more ruses so I could take some people out. And then the police moved on from that. And I'm like, I want to know who else was on the list. I need to know every single person. But they moved on because I guess for them, that was enough. It wasn't enough for me. But see, also, I am very, very nosy. So anyway, the police were like, oh, we also found the James and Elena story. Y'all, now listen. If you're new to this case, you're like, well, who are James and Elena? Child, batten down the hatches. Those of us who are veterans of this madness that is the Lori Vallow Daybell and Chad Daybell unfortunate unaliving case, we already know about James and Elena, and the police got up there and told the James and Elena story. I'm gonna need you to maybe not be eating nothing right now because, you know, it might come back to visit you again. James and Elena, the James and Elena story is a made-up story that Chad the Thumb Daybell, who is now on Unalive Row, also Lori's husband, also at this time, it was her lover. Ew. Chad was like, I am an author and I have written a story about the great eternal love that is the James and Elena story. Chad named himself James and he named Lori Elena. Okay. And through a series of text messages, yes, text messages, I believe also some email, but primarily text messages, he told her some softcore, nudie, nasty stories. And he named, he had all these things like they experienced the phenomena known as loin fire. Sir, fire crotch is not something that you want. I don't know if you know how like the world works, but you just in a romantic way told your little girlfriend that you have a itchy scratchy in your pants. Like, Sarah, it is so cringy. You must read every single moment of it. A lot of channels have the James and Elena story. I can't because on the strength of propriety and ill, but the James and Elena story is very next level. He talks about the phenomena known as loin fire, and he refers to his man bits as the storm. Child. It was a trickle at best. I'm telling you, it wasn't like an overcast, a storm. Sir, you've given yourself so much credit. So much credit. But I'm just like, okay. Okay. But then they moved on from that real nasty story that always makes me chuckle, but also makes me a little sick, little bit sick. And then next in the Lori and Chad emails, not emails, text, we see back and forth. Well, Lori is like, sad news. I talked to the life insurance company, even though my husband's body is not even cold yet. You know, I got them right on the phone. And turns out there's no life insurance. It is a knife in my heart. I can't believe he's done that. Ma'am, you know what else is a knife in the heart or a bullet in the heart? That bullet that your brother put in your husband's heart. How are you sad that you didn't get the life insurance? This heifer, she's team too much, just team too much. She's like, can you believe it? He left nothing for JJ. Ma'am, you would go on to later, unfortunately, unalive JJ. So what are we talking about? She's like, it just breaks my heart. I don't even know. And Chad was like, oh, I wonder if he changed the policy before or after there were 2 bullets in his chest. Sarah. Okay, see, we know, well, the jury does not know, but we here in the general public, we know that you are already over there on the unalive row. Nobody has deserved it more. I wish they would do a public stoning of this man with frozen potatoes, because it is Idaho, Iowa, and they have potatoes aplenty over there, according to me. I don't know what they do in Idaho. I don't live there. Anyway. So that is where the state left it in terms of the direct examination of this detective. And I was like, Lori is going to get up here with her cross-examination. Is she going to talk about James and Elena? Is she going to talk about these ridiculous emails? It's a knife in her heart that she didn't get the life insurance. This heifer. Anyway, the judge could not have been more bored. He was like, cross-examination. And Lori gets up there and she's just like, so the bat. I was like, after all what he just said, you want to talk about the bat? Okay. We can start with the bat. She gonna start with the bat. Okay, she gonna start with the bat. The bat that Tylee had. Did you test it for DNA? And the detective was like, no. And she was just like, oh, as though she scored a point. Okay, girl, where is this going? She's like, did you test it for blood? He was like, no, because there was no blood on it. She's like, well, is there a reason why you didn't test it for blood? He's like, yeah, there's an excellent reason. The bat was in the house where all these people lived or spent time. And so there would obviously be DNA on it because all the people lived there. Also, there was no visible blood. And we could find DNA. Sure, we would find DNA, but it doesn't tell us when the DNA got there. And she's like, well, maybe if you would have tested the bat, you would have found out that Tylee was lying or Alex was lying or I was lying. Man, where is this going? What are you, huh? You're supposed to defend yourself, like defending yourself. That's what you're here to do. Oh, that's right. Your act right is not fully installed. So you think this is a good idea. Okay, honey, I'm going to do like my Southern auntie says, and I'm just going to hide and watch because you are a whole entire mess right now. And so then she was like, okay, sir, have you read the Book of Mormon? And I was like, what that got to do with anything? And she was like, I'm talking about Nephi. When I mentioned Nephi, and I was like, right, with an F, not H, like it's not the Nehi soda, it's the Mormon prophet Nehi, or the Mormon apostle Nephi, child, somebody named Nephi in the Book of Mormon. And so she's like, did you read the Book of Mormon? And he was like, no, but I did ask some Mormons. That seemed like enough research to me. He was like, also, I Googled. Okay, officer, listen. I'm no detective, and your side is already winning this case. So far be it for me to offer pointers. But my research as a professional gossip here on YouTube includes a lot of Googling and watching YouTube videos. And for my work, that is a perfectly valid way to research. But for your job as a police officer, maybe you might want to do more than just like ask some random Mormons and Google it. I'm just a little pointer from me to you. And she's like, maybe there are other Nephis. And I was like, there was more than one Nephi? Was Nephi in the time of like the Mormon scriptures? Was that like John? Like, was it a real common name? Like every third person was named Nephi? I have questions. And so she's like, there are several books of Nephi. Have you heard of first Nephi or second Nephi or third Nephi? He's like, I have not read the Book of Mormon. And she's like, or fourth Nephi? Girl, ask and answered. And so, she was like, well, how do you know what I was thinking when I mentioned Nephi? I could have been talking about one of the other Nephis. And he has some answer that I interpreted as, chick, I'm not psychic. And I was like, that tracks. Okay, so she's like, you didn't even read the Book of Mormon. I could have some missionaries visit your house. Would you like a free Book of Mormon? No? Okay, that's another question for another day. Anyway, and of course, you know, the state was like, objection, converting. And so, finally, she's like, well, if you didn't do all the research, why did you charge me? And he was just like, I didn't. Like, I'm the police heifer. We don't charge people. That is not what we do. I make my report and then I hand it into the state. And then the state decides like they're going to charge the district attorney. They charge. They're not going to charge. That's it. And so she was like, okay. And then she sat down. But she seemed real super duper mad today. And I was like, are you mad that we didn't get to hear about the whole James and Elena story and your real nasty messages that you sent back and forth with that man who looks like a potato? We do not want to know the intimate details of your oochie coochie life with that man. Although we kind of do, because we real super nosy. But okay, heifer. And then that's where the story has now come full circle. We're back to where we started, where the state was like, Your Honor, we done. Finished with her. And so that's not what she said, but she was like, the state rests. And then Lori was like, I think I might be done, but I'm not sure, but you have to ask me later, whatever. So the judge was like, okay. So we're going to go over jury instructions. Everybody's going to be off for the Easter weekend. Then on Monday, we'll have closing arguments. The way I am looking forward to these closing arguments. What is she going to say? She's going to say, he didn't even read the Book of Mormon. How could he possibly charge me with anything? Everybody knows that there's 25 Nephis, and the other story of Nephi is about how he just loved his family and didn't put bullets in anybody. I don't know what he gonna say. I mean, I don't know what she's gonna say, but she real ticklish of the brain. So it's really, really no telling. But listen, this is what you need to understand. This is the announcements portion of this video. I am going on vacation next week. But look, do not panic. Oh, I will have this case covered. I have checked twice. There's good Wi-Fi where I'm going, and I have upgraded the Wi-Fi plan. So I will absolutely be covering closing arguments. I will cover the verdict. Those of y'all who've been here for a minute, remember when Donna Adelson was arrested and I was on a cruise, the way I scurried to the Lido deck to be like, I am reporting live from the Caribbean. Y'all, they got the heifer. Anyway, so closing arguments are on Monday. Tomorrow, Friday, I have secured a funeral potato Mormon. Oh yes, an Idaho dwelling funeral potato Mormon will come here to gossip, rumor, and innuendo to answer my probably very ridiculous questions. I'm so looking forward to it. So stay tuned for that. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel. I will see you soon. Bye.